And let's open with our pledge. I pledge. Good morning, KML. Today we have with us a guest speaker, Mr. John Kolander, who's over at WLC, Wisconsin Lutheran College. He has a heart for our ministry that we've been giving our mission offerings to the Vulnerable Children's Foundation. So he's going to speak and show us a little bit more about where our mission dollars are going. And since he's got a background in it, I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thank you, Pastor Hughes. Good morning, everybody. As Pastor said, yes, my name is John Kolander, and I serve at Wisconsin Lutheran College. I know some of you have been there. Some of you sang there a couple weeks ago, and you guys were awesome. Thank you very much. But I'm here today to talk to you about where you've been giving your mission offerings for the first semester of this academic year. The Vulnerable Children's Foundation, which supports the Lutheran schools of Central Africa. And to begin with, I'd like to begin and then wrap it up with the Bible reading that was done at my church last Sunday. Maybe it was done at yours as well. It's from Matthew chapter 25. And there Matthew, under inspiration, says the words of Jesus. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me." I'm here to talk to you about the VCF, the Vulnerable Children's Foundation. The VCF is a conduit. We are the voice of the people in Zambia, Africa, who cannot speak for themselves. We are the voice of those people that ask us to talk to God-fearing people like you to consider supporting their educational ministry in Lusaka, Zambia. And that's what I'm here to share with you today, the Lutheran Church of Central Africa and the educational ministry. First, a little bit about Zambia. It's in the southern hemisphere. It's in the center of Africa at the bottom. And it's kind of interesting. It's shaped like a horn, so to speak. A little bit about the history so you're aware where we are. Way back in the day, it was colonized by the English. And that's important because it's very easy to do mission work in Zambia in regards to language. If you're going to Japan, you have to learn the Japanese language, China, the Chinese language. But in Zambia, you get off the airplane and you meet somebody in the store or on the street or in church, you can speak English and they will understand you and they will respond in English, which is really wonderful. It gained its independence from England in 1964, and there are 73 different tribes, so to speak, that used to make up Rhodesia and now Zambia. But there are 9 main languages that are talked there. The one where we are, the most people use is something called Chewe. However, it is not unusual for a 7 or 8-year-old child to be able to be fluent in 3 or 4 different languages at the same time. A language at home, a language at school, which is English, a language with their friends, and a language in their neighborhood. I don't know about you, but I've been around for a long time, and in 64 years, I've only been able to learn 1 language. These kids are 8, and they can do 3 or 4. It is landlocked, and that is a challenge for them because there aren't roads that come in, there aren't waterways that come in. Anything that comes in has to be trucked, trained, or flown so things are very expensive. It's at the base of the Great Rift Valley. If you are a geography guru, you will know that the Great Rift Valley starts in Zambia and it goes straight up through the Nile River, through Egypt, into something we call the Dead Sea, the Jordan River, ending at the Sea of Galilee. And so when you are outside of Lusaka, you can actually stand in a field and see the ground starting to angle down. And as far as you can see, it looks just like a valley you'd see out west, but it extends over 3,000 miles, ending at the Sea of Galilee and beyond. The currency there is kwacha, and you're going to see in a couple moments that $1 goes a long way. $1 buys 23 kwacha over there. That's a lot of kwacha for $1. We'll show you how far it goes very soon. There's a little simple map of Zambia. You see Lusaka is in the center. It's the capital. At the bottom of Zambia is kind of interesting. It's Victoria Falls. Over the years, we've had a lot of people visit with us. We've taken groups of trips over there. People love to go see Victoria Falls, and they love to go and see game parks as well, like national parks where the wild animals roam. It's a savanna climate. The elevation's about 2,500 feet. It's dry. They do have a rainy season. And because of all the things I've just said, the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod made their first international world mission location in Zambia in the 1950s. Now you might wonder, okay, why are you here? Why are you talking about this to us? How did you get interested in the Vulnerable Children's Foundation? And the answer is in the names of the two individuals that right at the top there, Reverend Edgar Haneke and Reverend Ralph Walker. They were two pastors from Michigan that believed that we had to do international world mission work. And in 1947, at the Synod Convention held on St. John's 8th and Valide in Milwaukee, that big church down there, the Synod gave them permission to go and explore. They left their congregations and did a 6-month journey in a travelall to a steamship to Johannesburg, South Africa, up, looking for a place to start world missions. And they found Zambia, and that's where they started it. We had a missionary there in 1953. And in 1962, the Lutheran Church of Central Africa was found in 2 countries, both that speak English, Zambia and Malawi. There's a seminary there. And then in 1961, we started a medical mission there. I would bet that if you, at Thanksgiving dinner with your families and your relatives on Thursday, ask them if anyone in your family has ever been a WELS nurse in Central Africa in the WELS Medical Mission Program, you're going to have a relative or your parents or grandparents will know someone that served. It's a tremendous program. I still haven't answered the why. Why am I interested in this? I'm interested because I love my wife. And my wife's grandfather was Reverend Edgar Haneke. And not only do I love my wife loves her grandpa, but her grandpa's children, my wife's parents love their grandparents, love their parents as well. And they, out of honor of Edgar and Maida Haneke, started the Vulnerable Children's Foundation because they saw a need for Christian education in Zambia. And I'll tell you what the need was in a moment. First of all, the Lutheran Church of Central Africa has 2 synods, the Zambia Synod and the Malawi Synod. We work in the Zambia Synod. You can see the statistics there. They have approximately 112 congregations served by 36 pastors, 10,000. Again, I don't know the Kettle Moraine Federation, but I'm guessing it's kind of in the ballpark. You know, if you're seeing how the churches that you are. Please keep in mind it's very, very poor. Those pastors have met in conference. I've been able to address them in conference. I'll never forget one pastor asked me, he came up to me and said, "Do your pastors own a car?" Because not one of these pastors owns a car. They don't have the money to do it. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that not only does my pastor own one car, my pastor has children that are your ages and above. They own 3 or 4 cars. The wealth we have compared to them, $1 goes a long way. We have a seminary there that trains pastors for this. It's a Lutheran Church of Central Africa seminary. You go 3 months in Malawi at a Bible institute called Lilongwe, learning basic Bible truths, and then you come to the seminary for 6 years. For 3 years, it's a 6-year process to become a pastor, and almost all of the pastors that go through that 6-year process are individuals 25 to 30 years old when they start. It's almost always a second career effort that these pastors make. It's not going right out of college or high school into there. The why. The other thing about Zambia you need to recognize is this, that the culture is one of high promiscuity. Men being unfaithful to women is commonplace and accepted. Women are treated like objects, not valued human beings. Culturally, not within the church, but culturally. Because of this, the AIDS epidemic has ravaged Zambia. It's hit Zambia population-wise, percentage-wise, more than almost any other country in the world. You can see that the Zambian population is 11 million people. 50% of those 11 million are under the age of 18. Now keep in mind, our largest demographic group in the years has been my demographic group. They call it the baby boomers. You know, people that were born after World War II. That's a large demographic group for us, but there, most people are young. Over 2 million people are still infected with the HIV virus. They don't have full-blown AIDS. And because of that, there's a great many orphans. And there aren't orphanages. So if you are an orphan, you end up trying to live with relatives and try to get by as you can. And the challenge is this, the average income in Zambia for people that just are normal folks in our churches is $800 a year. That's what they live on. So that's why we have the Vulnerable Children's Foundation. Like Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School, like many congregations, like many organizations, we have a mission statement, and this is what we stand for, and this is what you've been contributing to as we're going along. The mission of the Edgar H. and Maida A. Haneke Vulnerable Children's Foundation is to fund the construction and operation of schools, and this is important, owned and operated by the Lutheran Church of Central Africa. We provide them the funds, we monitor how they're used, they own the schools, they operate the schools. The foundation seeks to place vulnerable children in Zambia into a Christ-centered Christian educational setting while they are young, to educate them for productive lives on earth and share with them the saving gospel and the message of Jesus Christ for all eternity. It's simply this. You take students and you educate them, and then you show them how God wants them to live. And if they recognize that the behaviors that cause the AIDS epidemic and other things are forbidden by God, but more than forbidden, you don't do those things out of love and thankfulness for God, the long-term plan is that our students will be smart and they'll be alive and impact society wherever they are. I'm going to put it in my own words. I'm a teacher by trade. I taught in Wells Lutheran grade schools for 11 years. I taught in a Wells Lutheran high school for 12 years. And I've been at Wisconsin Lutheran College for the last 20 years. I believe, and I know your teachers here believe, I know your parents believe, and I hope you believe, that, are we okay? Maybe there's a tornado. That's okay. I know all of us believe this, that Christian education is important. How many of you, let me ask you, went to a Lutheran or Christian education school in first grade? How many went in first grade? Cool. How many of you went in 8th grade? Cool. How many of you went in high school? Trick question, don't worry. I know your hand's there. My point is, Christian education is important. Let me say something. If it's important for you in grade school, if it's important for you in high school, if it's important for you in college, why wouldn't it be important for the children in the Lutheran Church of Central Africa? And the point is that it is important. And they can't afford it, but with your help, they are. So the Zambian schools, this is how they work. They have 3 types of schools in Zambia, kind of similar to what we have here. They have government schools, they have community schools, and they have private schools. Private schools are high-end tuition. They'll bring it, they have some large Catholic organizations there that private and people pay. Diplomats, people that are in government there, they'll pay and send their kids to a private school. Government schools are government schools. They're not that good. And then there are community schools, schools that are funded by people in the community to make it happen. Our schools are community schools. They're primary schools. They go grades 1 to 7. We go down to kindergarten to grade 7. And then you pass the test in grade 7. If you pass, you go to grades 8 and 9. And if you pass that, you get to go to grades 10 and 12. But it's high-stakes tests. We monitor it, and our students have been passing grades 1 to 7 at a 90+% rate every year. We monitor that because that impacts quality. So here are the community schools. We have 2 of them. One's at Kowanda Square, started in 2006. They have 6 teachers, and this count last month, 305 students. The second school we started in 2010 is Matero. 6 teachers, 310 students. I know what you're saying, teachers, you're doing the math. Wait a second here. 6 teachers, 300 students. How does this work? 7 grades. This is how they do it in Zambia at every school. They have 2 separate times of classes. 7:30 to 11:30, and then 12:30 to 4:30. So if you are a faculty member, you'll have a classroom filled with about 30 students from 7:30 to 11:30, and it may be grade 3. And then after you do grade 3, there's a lunch break we'll talk about in a moment. And at 12:30, you bring in grade 4. And grade 4, 25, 26 students will be there from 12:30 to 4:30. That's your day. So that's how it operates. That's how it works. This is the first time I ever showed up at Kowanda Square. Am I doing something there on that, Josh? I am? We have to change this. No, it's plugged in. How about if I just hold it like this? Maybe that'll help, right? Test. Usually when I get one of these, I just start singing. So I gotta watch it now. That's all right. So Kowanda Square. This is the first time I ever saw Kowanda Square in 2006. I got out of a taxi cab and looked at it, and that was the picture. This sounds good. That was the picture I saw. I took it when I got out of the cab. I hope you notice that it's walled. It's in a compound, an area that are like a shanty town that people are. And you can see there's a gate with locks, and there's spikes on top of the gate. And on top of the wall, that's shards of glass, so people can't climb over. That was the picture. Then I walked in the gate, and there's the church. Bethel Lutheran Church, Emmanuel Lutheran Church congregation, Kowanda Square. No electricity, no lights, pews inside, and they'll worship upwards of 200 some people in there on a Sunday. Then I saw the construction that we were building, and the kids outside, they all wanted to have their pictures taken. You see the gate in the back where I came in. That was 2006. School has really not started yet. It was getting ready to start up, and we took a trip over there to check it out. We met a wonderful lady from Riverview in Appleton, and she talked to us, maybe 2010, 2011, said, "What do you guys really need over there?" We said, "Here's what we need. We need a water tower." Why do you need a water tower? I'm going to go back to that picture. Can you look at the back left of the church? See back left of the church? There are boards with boards on top. You know what that is? That's a hole in the ground. That is called the restroom for everybody that's there. And you can't see it to the right, but there's a pump that you pump. And the kids every day would pump water into buckets, and that's how they'd wash their hands or try to create some type of meal. We said we have to get some water here. If we could get water, we could actually put in bathrooms. If we put in water, we could actually get a food program going. If we put in water, we could get hygiene and cleanliness going, and kids could drink and eat and better. So she said, you got it. I'll get you guys some water towers. And there it is. That's a water tower. And you notice that when you start putting Christian education to things and having people help and assist, that their attitude changes and they get uplifted. Does that sign look different than 2006? I hope you think it does, because it is. The joy that these individuals have by having schools is incredible. As one LCCA pastor said to me, thank you for helping us do schools, because now we are a real church body. So there's the same picture you saw me. This is pre-water tower. I got to share with you. Now this is what it looks like today, post-water tower. That's the culture those kids are. There are 2 sets of classrooms, a cooking shelter, and a very excellent restroom facility now in place at Kiwanda Square. That is the last group we took over there, and that is meeting after church, visiting, because church goes on a very long time and people stick around, have lunch, and have Bible class in the afternoon. You show up at 9, you go home around 3 in the afternoon, and I will tell you right now, it's the fastest 6 hours of worship you will ever have in your life. Inside, you can see that there's chalkboards, no technology, very basic education. They quite simply reading, writing, arithmetic, and God's Word is what they teach. You can see the classrooms. Kids are sharing desks. They don't have their own areas. They don't have posters from stores. They make their own posters. They make their own information. And there is one of our principals, Principal Esdart, an amazing, fantastic individual, a member of the church, very Christ-centered, and really toes the line and holds the high standards like all principals do. Every morning they meet for assembly. Again, when we're there, arguably, they are very nice and they try to do something. And Josh, if we can try it, let's see if we can hear about 30 or 40 seconds of them singing a song for us at assembly, morning assembly, and the song is Jesus, My Only Love Is You. Note the harmonies that they do, and they're not taught. They just naturally, in their culture, sing in harmony. Go ahead, Josh. Did you hear the British accent in there a little bit? It's a King's English that they speak when they talk English. Now we go to, real quickly, Matero. Matero is the other place. It's at Martin Luther Church. Martin Luther Church was the first church that the Wisconsin Synod built in Africa in 1958. That is the church that they built. That was the home of our first missionary over there. The area in their language is called Kanika, and it's called Kanika Lutheran Community School. I call it Matero Township. And there is Matero. Again, 2 blocks of classrooms, 3 each, offices, and then you can see going through between them, that is the bathroom facility we put in because of the water tower. Each school has its different culture, different colors of walls, different desks, things like this. But again, very, very similar. Learning is by rote on pads. Teachers hand out pencils. Teachers collect the paper when they go out. Kids have nothing that they take home with them. Typical classroom, that is a 7th grade going on there, 7th grade English. Real quickly, here's a young lady named Olapa. Olapa's been in our school since first grade. Wonderful lady. She graduated 2 years ago. She wants to be a lawyer. She passed the test with flying colors. She is now in secondary school, and some individuals do help fund other people besides K-7 going on to school. Here's the thing you need to know about Olapa, though. Olapa, because of her mother, and she's an orphan, her mother died because of her mother and her father, who had it. Olapa is HIV positive. So she's living her whole life with the HIV virus. It is not full-blown AIDS yet, and she takes medication every morning and every afternoon. It's administered at school through the government to help keep her and others AIDS-free. But she does live every day with the HIV virus. Please keep in mind, though, Olapa knows her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Olapa knows that whether she lives or dies, she is with the Lord. And Olapa is planning for a very bright, productive, and God-fearing future this day. Again, Matero. The textbooks they have are government textbooks. We buy the textbooks for them. And I think you saw it, and we'll show it later. At night, the textbooks are collected and put in the principal's office. And they're that because if they don't do that, someone could break in and steal them. And so they're collected every evening, and they're taken back. One of our second grade students, I just like that picture. It's on my wall. A couple specifics, just for your information. Since 2006, the Vulnerable Children's Foundation, who I'm representing, remember we're the voice of those people, we have done this. We cover the monthly salaries of 20 people. That's teachers, security guards, and cooks. We've covered all building construction, the wells, the water towers, the school supplies, the textbooks, the desks. We take individuals that want to be teachers in the LCCA, and we send them to the University of Zambia to get their teaching degrees so that we can have LCCA members, Lutherans in our fellowship, teaching in these schools. We send people over there, do leadership development and teacher workshops. I've gone over there and done some things. I've had WLC faculty members go over and do things as well. We cover tuition and all operational costs. Here's what we do it for. All operational costs, feeding 600 kids 5 days a week for 9 months a year, salaries of 20 people for 12 months. We do it all for $80,000 a year. Now, a lot of you might say, whoa, that's a lot of money. I'll tell you right now, you take any pastor, any teacher, any faculty member with a family, and you start adding up their salary, their health insurance, their benefits, their Social Security, and all the things. If Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School is looking to call a teacher, I'm guessing in their budget line, they're putting a number somewhat close to $80,000 for the entire cost. That's one person. Every year this happens for $80,000. A dollar goes a long way. And one other thing I just need to point out to you, that if you give a dollar to the Vulnerable Children's Foundation, as you have been doing, and I will formally thank you in a moment, every dollar individuals give to the VCF goes to the VCF. It goes to the people in the Lutheran Church of Central Africa. My wife and I and the other people on the board, we do not take a dollar from the foundation. When we go visit Africa, we pay for it ourselves. When we do trips and talk to donors, we pay for it ourselves. And the reason we do that is we want to be able to look people like you in the eye and say, I can only give a dollar. And we say, thank you for that dollar. You know where that dollar's going? It's not going 50 cents of that is so we can take a trip next year. No, a dollar you give is a dollar that's going to the Lutheran Church of Central Africa. Our major donations in the past from Lutheran high schools and their congregations and from private donors, and that's why we're here today with Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School. We have outreach on websites, Facebook, we write appeal letters, and we do donor trips. That's what it's all about. Remember how I started in Matthew 25? Matthew 25, you could take it any direction you want, but I want to point out in Matthew 25, Jesus talking to those on his right. That really talks about the concept of vocation. And I don't know how much you know about vocation, have studied vocation, but really, I like to define vocation this way. Vocation is that God uses other people in our lives to show his love to us. God used my mom and dad to show his love to me as a child. God uses my pastors to show his love to me to take care of my spiritual needs. God uses your teachers to take care of you. God uses others to show his love. And God has used you vocationally to show your love to the people in Central Africa. God has used you to move your hearts to help those individuals. And in closing, I'll say these words. They're the next verses of Matthew chapter 25. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the beginning of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes, clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go visit you?" And the king will reply, "Whatever you did for the least of these, my brothers, you did for me." Thank you for your vocational love and gifts supporting the schools of the Lutheran Church of Central Africa. May God bless you. May God bless Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School. And may God bless your Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right, again, we thank Mr. Kolander for sharing that exciting mission with us and some more details about the Vulnerable Children's Foundation. Thank you. I have an exciting announcement for you all today. It has been our practice to applaud the amazing accolades of our students. And so if I could have all the One Act members please stand up. I have an announcement to read for our whole student body today. This past weekend, KML Theater members earned the right to compete at the Wisconsin State Theater Festival in Green Bay. The group's performance was awarded with the highest award that can be given at state, the Critics' Choice Award. They also won awards for Outstanding Direction, Outstanding Ensemble, and Outstanding Technical Theater. On top of those accolades, 3 of the cast members received individual acting awards for outstanding acting. Those individuals are Nathan Him, Marissa Lutzow, and Henry Rohrbach. Let's all give them a congratulations, and Mr. Linton as well. Nicely done, guys. After you've read the announcements, you have an extra 3 minutes.